3, 2, 1, and let's get rolling, everybody. Happy Monday, the last Monday of the month of August. Thanks for joining me here at the First Alert Desk. My name is Allen Devlin. Every day, 8 o'clock, Monday through Friday, somebody's here talking to you about some of our top stories coming out of Atlanta and beyond. Today, I've got 3 I want to discuss with you before I turn it over to Patrick Pete, who's going to talk about the wet weather we're going to be seeing all of this week. Florida is unfortunately about to get slammed by what is right now, Patrick, a tropical storm, but will likely be a Category 3 hurricane when it makes landfall. All right, so look at me, a little bit of a meteorologist. See that? No, they won't let me not get that right. That's what it is, our First Alert meteorologist. But we're going to jump into that later on. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about here is something out of Benjamin E. Mays High School. This is video you might have seen over the weekend, and it pretty much shows an interaction between a coach and a player, and it's got a lot of parents and staff members on edge. I'll show you that video now, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So here we go. Here's the coach in the blue. You can see him get frustrated, and he seemingly punches or jabs the player there in the stomach after, boom, boom. And then right there, number 24 kind of keels over. If you've been hit in the stomach and you don't know it's coming, you can't flex up and protect yourself a little bit. That can knock you over for sure. So this video's gone viral. And right now, an investigation has been launched by APS regarding the actions of that coach who has not been named at this time, but pretty much they are looking into it to make sure, whatever happened is either sanctioned or okay, and checking on that student. And right now that is an open investigation. Yasmina Alston covered this for the most part. The coach was, yelling at him during the game, and it's caused a safety concern for parents. And right now, they're all looking into what happened at the Eddie S. Henderson Stadium. And obviously, the Benjamin E. Mays High School coach actually has been named Carl Sledge. He was arrested in connection to that incident, I should say. So he has been identified. He was arrested, and now that investigation is ongoing. I've been asking parents, it's tough love on the football field a lot of the times, but many of you are saying this is too far. Putting your hands on a student, no matter the circumstances, is too far. That is why this is being looked into the way it is, and we're going to follow that story as he continues to get investigated, and we'll let you know what comes of that. But I can let you know that APS is not going to let that one go lightly without getting to the bottom of it for sure. The next story here I want to talk to you guys about, if I can pull up my computer over here, because I'm one-man band in this whole thing, you guys. A family, and the Metro Atlanta family, basically poisoned by carbon monoxide inside their unit. They noticed a leak a couple of days prior, reported it. They say the apartment told them it was fixed, it was coming from the oven, and then the next morning or a couple of days later, they all woke up vomiting, feeling nauseous, and were all hospitalized to what doctors say was carbon monoxide poisoning. Atlanta News First reporter Zach Summers spoke to that family exclusively on a story you'll only see here on Atlanta News First.
I know they put us at risk. I don't believe I know.
For days, Tamika Ali and 3 of her children, ages 6 to 17, couldn't breathe on their own. The family hospitalized for carbon monoxide poisoning, Tamika says, could have been prevented.
They should have made sure me and my kids were safe. I have HUD housing.
The family lives at the College View Hills Apartments in College Park. Tamika says she first alerted the city's housing authority of a gas leak in her unit 9 months ago.
They said they had to replace the stove.
Tamika says even after the repairs, her family kept getting sick.
I had a stroke. The baby was having seizure. The 17-year-old was having severe respiratory problems. I didn't know what was going on.
Last Wednesday, doctors called Tamika, saying she had high levels of carbon monoxide in her body. She again notified the housing authority. The gas company shut off the gas. The next morning, Tamika and 3 of her children woke up vomiting and could barely breathe.
It's not right. It's not right. And for them not to take accountability and to even call me and tell me, Miss Ali, we're sorry, that just hurts me to my soul.
We reached out to the College Park Housing Authority with questions, but the interim director would only say that Tamika's case is under thorough investigation.
I just want them to make it right.
Tamika says she wants a new unit, fearful that returning to her current one will jeopardize her family.
Do y'all job. We got about 1,000 kids over there. Inspect these apartments. They're not doing it. And I'm the first one to say it. Do your job, because that could have wiped the whole family out.
Could have wiped the whole family out. And unfortunately, we know carbon monoxide poisoning can be deadly. Really lucky that that family was able to wake up that morning, recognize what was happening, and get themselves to a hospital, because a couple more hours of exposure could have ended in a completely different manner. Moving along here, last story, one of our top stories here this week. What is happening with Hurricane Idalia that is moving right now directly towards Florida, and it's going to have impacts here in the metro. So Florida right now, this is not the right video, I apologize. This is the right video. Florida right now getting ready, prepping for what is going to likely be a Category 3 hurricane on landfall. It's rolling into the Gulf, and so it's batten down the hatches for Florida once again. They've been here. They've done that. They know how this works. But it's also going to bring a lot of rainfall to us in metro Atlanta. But we are, Atlanta News First is sending 3 crews down to Florida, down to the coast, Georgia as well, to look into how this is going to impact our state, how it's going to impact our neighbors to the south, as officials in Florida warn everybody and they start actually issuing evacuation orders.
Storms are unpredictable. That cone of uncertainty is just that. It's uncertain. It's up to Mother Nature to where the storm's going to hit and to what intensity it's going to hit.
And we just don't know that right now. We have no clue exactly where it's going to hit or how strong it's going to hit. All we can do is make those predictions. And that is, of course, why you should download that First Alert weather app. Keep it on your handy. We've had a lot of stuff happening here in the metro already with rain. And, I mean, I got caught in earlier today. I'm still drying off for the most part. And, you know, the lens on our camera overlooking Midtown right now is still pretty wet. It's been one of those weeks, or it's been a day in the week, but it's going to be one of those weeks for sure. Meteorologist Patrick Pete is joining me now to walk us through what we can expect moving forward. Patrick, a whole lot of rain, right?
Yeah, man, it's been a bit messy out there the last couple of hours. We've been very busy in the First Alert Weather Center tracking multiple severe thunderstorms that have been rocking and rolling through our area. And we're still dealing with a little bit of energy out there as far as the severe risk that is continuing to diminish out there, but still producing some heavy rain. And that has prompted the potential for there to be some isolated flooding across our area. Actually, we were receiving some unconfirmed reports of some flooding in the Pryor University Avenue. So we're working to try to confirm what's going on down there. Nothing confirmed at the moment, but once again, these unconfirmed reports are all we have to go on. A lot of times in these type of events, emergency management, there are eyes and ears on the ground. So our assignment desk and our digital team, they're working to confirm all of that information. As soon as we have that confirmed, we'll bring that information to you. What I can confirm is that we're still dealing with an active radar out there at this hour. Scattered showers and thunderstorms continue to be an issue. Over the course of the last few minutes, the National Weather Service has placed a large portion of metro Atlanta under a flash flood warning that is not going to expire until around 1:45 tomorrow morning. So that is going to include portions of Fayette County, as well as Clayton County, Henry County, which we've been watching several storms move very slowly through Henry County, Rockdale County, DeKalb, Fulton, Cobb, stretching into Douglas County, as well as Gwinnett and southern Forsyth County, right on the edge of that. So this warning is set to expire at around 1:45 in the morning, as we're still dealing with lots of showers, lots of storms. No severe thunderstorm warnings, but you can see a very aggressive, the deeper reds indicating heavier downpours moving through Sugar Hill and Decula, Lawrenceville, and Grayson. That's moving towards the east-northeast. They've been moving slow for the most part, roughly 10-15 miles per hour at peak speed. So really watching for this water to coalesce. It's been doing that, and that's why we're trying to get these storms out of our area as quickly as possible. Wanted to give you a look at some of these radar estimated rain totals over the course of the last few hours, and you can see widespread 1 to 3 inches of rain estimated by our First Alert radar across the region. Some of the heavier areas have been to the west of the city in places like Carrollton, northwest near Taylorsville, but estimates near 2 inches in Roswell and over nearly 1.5 inches estimated in Atlanta. And of course, some of these totals may not look or seem overly aggressive, but when you have runoff into low-lying areas that typically flood, sometimes there's going to be debris blocking some of the drainage. It's easy to see how some of this water could rise. So these are the reasons that we're focused on what's happening across our area, and we want you to stay dialed in as these storms continue to push through. Here's a look at that hour by hour forecast, and we're still under a first alert for the next few hours as more of these showers are going to be possible through the 9 and 10 o'clock hour. We are expecting the risk for severe weather to diminish the later we get into the evening hours, but by morning, just some spotty showers is what we're expecting roughly around 1 a.m. As you head out of the door early tomorrow morning, there may be even a lingering shower, but the rain chance is going to be higher for the afternoon. So there's a first alert for your Tuesday as more scattered showers and storms are expected to fire up in the afternoon. And we're taking a look at the profile of the atmosphere that we're expecting, and it's not looking to be as energetic, not as buoyant as what we're seeing today. So while there could be a rogue strong thunderstorm, maybe even isolated severe thunderstorm, we're not expecting all of the severe storms that we saw today. Just clusters of them roll through the area this afternoon, and we're not expecting that type of event. But still damp enough to put a damper on your evening plans and that evening commute, so still could be messy. You're going to run into some rumbles of thunder and some lightning, so first alert Tuesday. Meanwhile, Wednesday's trending mainly dry for most of us. We do expect some spotty showers. This is all courtesy of Idalia. Going to have more on that coming up in about 2 minutes. Let's get you through tomorrow's first alert, which involves a little bit of moisture in the morning. I expect that rain chance to be near 20%, pretty spotty. We'll get some breaks in the clouds as we get closer to lunchtime, and that's going to allow for temperatures to climb into the low 80s. Expecting the afternoon highs to struggle to hit 90. I don't expect most locations to do that. I know some of the models have been trying to shoot those numbers up, but with all the cloud cover and the spotty showers, I don't think we're going to quite get there. Scattered showers and storms through the evening commute into the early evening for everybody who has maybe date night plans on Tuesday, thinking about stepping out and getting some tacos. Make sure you have your umbrellas or you will be dealing with some soggy tacos. Scattered showers and storms push into the region through the 11 o'clock hour, and we expect that energy to start to wane as we move into the overnight hours. And then all of our attention moves to Tropical Storm Idalia, which even at this 8 o'clock hour, we still have Tropical Storm Idalia. The winds are sustained at 70 miles per hour. The pressure is down to 983 millibars. The further that pressure drops, the higher those winds go. There's literally a direct correlation between those two. So whenever you look at the pressure, the central pressure, low pressure, as soon as that continues to plummet, we'll see those winds kick up. And we expect that to happen. I know that you guys have been staying on top of all of the stories that we've been telling you about, not only weather and how the different extremes that we've seen across the globe this year. One of the stories that we mentioned earlier this year was how hot the sea surface temperatures were in the Gulf of Mexico. Warm sea surface temperatures essentially is fuel for hurricanes. Essentially, it taps into something called the latent heat. The hotter the temperatures of the water, the more latent heat there is, which is technically the gas that these thunderstorms tap into. So you can get greater growth, higher cloud tops, all of that good stuff. These thunderstorms continue to kick up the winds, and you're dealing with the tropical system. Winds sustained at 70, moving to the north at 8. The forecast is for this to undergo rapid intensification and move towards the north and east. Here's a look at the latest spaghetti model output. This is just a series of different models that we typically look at to determine where we think this storm is going to head, and they're pretty much all heading towards the Big Bend. Here's the latest look at the European model. I know we'll get to that. Let's get you through the National Hurricane Center's forecasted track. And I want to take a moment to explain the cone because it's important that you understand the cone. A lot of folks actually have a misinterpretation of the cone, and you see that center line, and a lot of times when folks look at this map, they think that what our guidance is that the storm is going to go on that center line as if that's the actual forecast track, which in actuality it's not. That's literally just a guide to show you where the center of the variance is. Essentially what that means, the cone, and you can see from the cone, I'm going to go to the cone graphic just so that you can see. The closer you are to where the storm is now, the thinner the cone is, and the further you go out in the future, the wider that cone becomes. Essentially what that means is that we expect that storm to dance somewhere in that cone. So right now you can see that this cone has areas, I would say, pretty much to the east of Pensacola and north of Tampa inside of the cone. That storm could go on either side. They typically don't ride the center. A lot of the misconception about the cone is that it's the center of the cone is where the storm is going to go. Absolutely not. It is equally as probable that it could go to the western wall or the left side of the cone as it is the center and as it is the right. This is just showing you where the clusters essentially of the probabilities exist. And then also something to remember with storms, especially hurricanes. Hurricanes are not tornadoes. They're not cousins. They're not friends. They're not related. Whenever a tornado impacts an area, it impacts a very small area, maybe over the course of several miles. But whenever a hurricane impacts an area, you may have an area that is hit hardest, but the impacts are typically felt for tens of miles, if not hundreds of miles. So that cone, you kind of don't want to just look inside of the cone. You want to look for impacts around the cone, areas that are nearby. So whenever you're looking at this, I know that we don't have to worry about this here at home, but I know some of you choose to vacation in Florida. And if you do that later in the season, we're just getting started. The beginning of September we're about what? 12, 13 days away from the actual peak of hurricane season. So we're just getting started with this game. If you're having plans to go to Florida at any point later in the season and we're dealing with another system, don't just look at the cone, look at your placement in relation to the cone. The closer you are to the cone, the more likely you are going to experience impacts. More specifically, with most storms, that right front quadrant is where the most intense winds and rain and surge is. So if you're anywhere near the right side of the cone, even if you're south of the right side of the cone, you can get some pretty intense, significant impacts. So I say that to say that Tampa is not out of the woods. By looking at this map and what the general public's perception of this cone would mean, you would probably perceive that Tampa is okay, they're out of the woods, but they're not. Number one, they're on the right side, but we still are days away from, or at least a day and a half away from this making landfall. So if it goes on that southernmost track, they're going to get a big impact. If it goes on that leftmost pack, they'll get some rain and probably some 30, 40 miles per hour wind gusts. If it rolls through the middle, they'll probably see those wind gusts slightly higher, probably tropical storm force wind gusts, maybe low end Cat 1. So it's really going to depend on exactly where that track is. Hopefully that was a good enough explainer. Let's get to the impacts locally because that's what you really care about, right? Here's a look at our hour-by-hour forecast Wednesday for this. Tuesday, it'll gradually lift northward. The guidance has been bringing in a Wednesday landfall for the last day or so we expect that to be the case. You can kind of see how some of those outermost bands will give us some cloud cover and maybe a stray sprinkle, but most of the scattered showers and storms, and most of the bulk of the energy is going to be the south and east of us. So we're not going to get in on these major impacts. If you're worried about it, we had a first alert yesterday because guidance was a little bit further inland, but since guidance has dialed back, we've actually dropped that first alert. We still have a 30% chance of showers, but we do not expect this to be a big impact. We could see 10, 20 miles per hour wind gusts, but quite frankly, on an 80 plus degree day, 20 miles per hour wind gusts will probably feel quite nice. So room for us to lower our guard here. We're going to deal with some clouds, a spotty shower. If this trend continues, we're not going to get the bulk of this. It's going to be South Georgia, maybe even as far north as Central Georgia, but that's going to miss 90-something% of you. So I'm not really concerned about that, and I don't think you should be too. We'll start to see those rain chances start to diminish as you push into the evening as that system pulls out. We'll see some lower humidity build in, and we're going to set ourselves up for a nice dry stretch. This is what I call Thursday and Friday, and even Saturday, riding with the top off of the Jeep type weather, if you know what I'm saying. That's going to be a picture-perfect afternoon, good mix of sun and clouds, and manageable numbers, pretty seasonable for this time of year. We do start to warm back up Sunday, but we're in the upper 80s and 90 degrees by Monday. So in comparison to last weekend's forecast, we have to deal with these showers and storms this evening, wanting everyone to be cautious as far as the potential for there to be some isolated flooding across the region tonight. Watching tomorrow for those thunderstorms, which should be less severe, but still impactful, so reasons for us to stay dialed in, and then the lower rain chance Wednesday, and then the smooth sailing through the rest of the work week. So meteorologist Fred Campagna is hard at work in the back because while I just showed you some new tropical data, he's actually diving into new model data as far as tomorrow's showers and storms, and we're going to have a fresh update and look at that information tonight. We're actually going to have that on Peachtree TV at 9 and 10, so you flip in when you can. Oh, interesting. I'll show you some lightning shots of these thunderstorms that are in the distance. Every minute or so you'll see some flashes, but we're gonna have that update for you tonight at 9 and 10 on Peachtree TV. And you can catch Fred at 11 on Atlanta News First with that final look. Not to mention, there's going to be some new hurricane data that comes in tonight at 11. So even if you normally don't stay up that late, we're going to have new model runs. So we'll just to make sure that that trend continues to keep the bulk of that energy to the south of us. We'll have a look at that at 11. And he's also going to have some new data on the storms tomorrow. So see you guys in a little bit. Y'all have a good night.